Hey friends, thanks for joining me for another episode of Conversations with Parents Who Write. Tonight I am joined by Gina Colgrove, who is a contemporary romance author. She loves creating relatable characters who tackle real world issues and relationships and who make the reader feel as though these imaginary people are their friends or someone they could know in real life. And of course she likes to add a lot of spice, and that's her work in a nutshell. She's a former serialized writer and has moved on to the world of self-publishing. She currently has one book available on Amazon/KU titled Until There Was You, which I love that title. Her current work in progress will debut in June, so I'm hoping we'll hear a little bit about that. Gina currently lives in North Carolina with her husband and two daughters, ages 21 and 10. She's a former healthcare worker who's worked in multiple specialties within the system. And because of COVID, she had to step away to become a full-time at-home mom to help her youngest adjust to life as a remote learner. How many parents can raise their hands to that last sentence? Okay. There we go.
Success.
Hi.
It's been a day with the internet. So yeah, ours is completely down. So I'm going off of AT&T and a little prayer. So we'll see how I do.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yes, it will be. It will be.
Yes, because you and I started talking during our sneak peek, and I was like, I just want to keep talking to you, and
I know, it was so much fun. So much fun.
It is. I'm really looking forward to this. And before we jump in, is there anything else that you would like to tell our viewers about you? I read your writer's bio for everyone. But is there anything else that you want to add? Fun little random fact? I don't know.
I just, I'm originally a California girl. I was born in Southern California, grew up in the Bay Area. So, I see the black and orange behind me, go Giants. I guess it was a whim. It was crazy kind of whim. We decided to up and move almost 7 years ago to North Carolina. 5 days in a car, 2 kids, 1 still in diapers, and a dog. And somehow we made it. 5 days later. But
wow.
Yeah.
So how do you like North Carolina?
We really love it. It was a great move for us. The school system, my oldest was just going into high school. It was a much better school system than our current neighborhood that we were living in San Francisco. And my youngest is pretty much grown up here. So this is all she really knows. But we're happy. We made great friends. I do have some family here. It's been fun. You're 2 hours from the beach, 2 hours from the mountains. I couldn't ask for more. Yeah.
That's nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I love the random pick up and go. I'm originally from Jersey. Shout out to my Jersey peeps.
Okay.
I've got one of my best friends from school who's watching us live right now. I also know that she loves contemporary romance novels. Calling you out, darling.
Yeah.
But in 2010, I felt like my entire life was in limbo, and so I picked up and came down to Maryland, and that's where I am now. And 6 months later, I met my husband. So,
see, everything's meant to be. And I love Maryland. I had family who lived in Annapolis, so I've been a couple of times to that area, and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, nice. I'm closer to DC, but yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I've been to DC too. Yeah, it's great there. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Oh, thank you. Okay, well, I guess we will launch into some fun stuff. Why do you enjoy writing?
Gosh, I wrote poems, songs, that sort of thing as a teenager, just kind of as an outlet, and it was great. I know it sounds cliche, but it was great therapy, just kind of get all your thoughts and feelings completely out, and not even for anyone to hear or see, just for your own self. I didn't really write stories or anything though until COVID. And when COVID hit, I was in healthcare, I was in pediatrics, but kind of got not fully turned into the COVID hotline, and COVID, everything, it started off with you're just asking questions or answering questions. Then it's you're scheduling tests. And I lived and breathed nothing but COVID for 12 hours a day in the March of 2020. So I started reading a lot to escape. And I read something I never read before, was paranormal fantasy. And I think I just wanted to live something that had no touch of COVID or healthcare or anything. And I found these little apps that you see, and I didn't think they were legit. And the more I got into it, I got sucked into the story and found this one particular app and read this one woman's series. And she was a mom. She had a 4-year-old. She had a regular job. And I kind of went, I can do this, And I told my husband one day, I think I've got a book I want to write. And he looked at me and said, so do it. Like, what's stopping you? And yeah, no, he's a rock star. Like, I can't deny him anything. And I did. 6 weeks later, I had a book like completed, and applied to put it on this site. Thought no one was going to read it. They signed it, and it's my most popular book to date. So, yeah, therapy. It continued to answer, long story short, to answer your question, it continued as therapy. I just needed a break and an escape, and it was the healthiest way to do it. There's only so much chocolate a person can eat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Right.
What app and what book, if I can ask?
So, I call it the kind of crazy purple unicorn. It's called Dream with an E. So I guess Dreamy would be the correct. It's the cringy Facebook ads that you see with the most horrible graphics.
No, I have
it's
Dream.
So like, do you? So it's like legit. It's not this cringy horrible thing it portrays on Facebook. That's good.
I have Dream. I feel like my face is turning red all the time. I love like all genres, and so like I have Dream and a web novel. I'm so hooked on web novel right now. So,
I've done
but which one on Dream?
Many different ones. So my first book's called Teacher's Pet. So Dream, you kind of have to have these like kind of cheesy titles. That's what your editor wants. So it's like a direct, punch to the gut of what the story is going to be about. So that's my first one. It's Teacher's Pet. It's kind of the taboo teacher-student, romance. But it's a big time jump in it. So it doesn't really, that's not like the main focus. I'm not really into that kind of thing. But second one is, the Billionaire's Obsession, which turned into kind of like a series. The second one was The Billionaire's Weakness. That was more of the kind of dark, alpha male mafia type, I guess Christian Grey type man, but yeah, and then I've got an actual paranormal series that I decided, because they kind of push that on that app, which you probably know. They all love the werewolves over there.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a paranormal with a little bit of a twist. I did a werewolf with a bunch of other shifters. I threw in a harpy from the Greek mythology. So it's different. It is different. There's
What's
2
that
books
one?
in it. I didn't want to go with that one's called The Alpha's Redemption. And the second book to that one is called The Hellhound's Crusade. Have you? I've seen that. Like, yeah. I used to have a lot of promotions until I decided not to write for them anymore. And now they're like, okay, well, bye. So, but
I remember seeing
that's
one.
my book. Yeah, it's definitely a twist. It's like the nod to, I love True Blood. So I was a big True Blood TV show person, and it's based in New Orleans. It's got skinwalkers, shifters, werewolves, hellhound, Haiti. I mean, it's got everything you can think of, and in Nolans. So yeah.
Nice. I love the setting. Yes,
I've never been in New Orleans, and I want to go so bad after all the research I did for this book. So next year I'm going.
Yeah. So I've been toying with an idea of a story that I might want to put up there, and I just haven't done it yet. But the idea is very foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's the research that, like, I've got the story, I've got the characters, I know who they are, I know what their motives are. It's the detail stuff where I'm like, I don't want to research that. Like,
it's crazy. Like and my husband's really into paranormal. Well, not, I shouldn't say like that, but he was playing Assassin's Creed at the time, the one that took place in an actual ancient Greek. So he was a lot of help. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I don't do any like paranormal besides the dream stuff that I had read. So it was all brand new for me.
so when you're doing those, you pre-write the story? Because when people are releasing like a chapter a day, I'm like, how do you keep up with that? Like, that overwhelm is one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't want that stress.
So a better person than me would have the story written and have your chapters, you know, so far out. I don't live like that. I can't, like, I will sit down and I'm a pantser. I have no clue what's going to happen until I sit down and my characters tell me what's going to happen. And a professional writer, it drives them nuts. Absolutely nuts.
No.
So yeah,
I don't buy that.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. It's difficult.
I totally believe 100% that your characters take on a life of their own and they're going to tell you what happens.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
And I've heard tons of professional writers say the exact same thing. So I've got my ultimate book where I outlined the big points of my book and like little summaries of what I want to happen. But as I'm writing it, sometimes things change and I'm like, well, I didn't know you were going to do that. And the character's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's where we're going. Because that's your creativity coming out. You gotta.
It is. And it's crazy. Like, I hear people say all the time, I've had my outlines, I have my plans. I know people who go as far as specific chapters with their bullet points of what's going to happen in the chapter before they even write the book. And then it ends up kind of getting thrown out the window sometimes, depending on, you know, the chapter and what you're feeling that day. But with these books, with the first 4, so A Teacher's Pet, The Two Billionaires, and then the Alpha's Redemption, I literally wrote a chapter a day. So it was almost 360 days where I did nothing but write. I mean, it was Monday through Sunday. Sometimes it was all day. Yeah, I was at burnout pretty much by the time I got to the Hellhounds Crusade. My brain was mush. I just couldn't think anymore. And then I decided to take on Until There Was You, and now I'm writing 2 books at the same time. So I think I'm just a glutton for punishment is what it is.
You know. So how did you fit in parenting when you were writing hours and hours and hours a day?
Gosh, so while my little one was doing her, her virtual schooling, because she didn't go back to in person until April of last year, school year, I would do quick sprints in between her online time. And I would be up, sit on, like, our house is, I can see where my living room is, I can see her bedroom, and I had her desk right there so I could like watch her. And I sat on the couch and did it and watched her. And then when she was done, I was done. And then when my husband would get off work, if I wasn't finished, I would go in the bedroom and write while he kind of took over. And if I was just editing, I would just throw my headphones in and sit on the couch with the family and just edit. So it was, I was at softball practices and, doing stuff and making sure the chapters are going live and making sure everything's good. It's a lot of multitasking. It was a lot of multitasking. It was crazy. Yeah, I promised them I wouldn't write weekends anymore because it took a lot of time.
Hence, but I appreciate the heads up that should I choose to explore this route, that write the book ahead of time so I could release the chapters ahead of time, because that would be so much easier.
Especially on, like, I think on Vella, people are a little bit more forgiving. Kindle Vella is that new one. I think because it's just not as popular yet. They're not as used to the serialized, you get your chapter a day. But man, the dream and all that, they want that. They want the time. They want to know when it's coming, and they'll be like, so where's that chapter? Where's that chapter? Like, it's kind of like a meme, like, you know, you got the chapters ready today? Like, is it coming? So yeah, I would definitely have that ahead of time.
Is that pressure from Dream itself, or is that from the people who are reading it, who are like, give me the chapter, give me the chapter? Because I know that I've kindly,
right. Oh yeah, I'm that way. So, but yeah, I'm the behind the scenes. Like, I'm not going to say it out loud in comments. Like, but yeah, I'm the person. I wait for that chapter. Dream, it's a little different. You don't really have any interaction with your editors because they're not really editors. It's more of a bonus. So within your contract, if you do hit that 28 days out of the month, you get a bonus with your pay, your monthly pay. So that's the incentive.
That's pretty cool
from them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll touch base about this offline.
Yeah,
just because of the fact that
offline I can answer absolutely and tell you all the nitty gritty. Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. Because and it all started with a dream. Very Stephanie Myers. I had a dream about Jackson and Cece. Jackson and Cece.
It's so funny.
And they're fully formed characters now. So I was like, all right, I gotta start telling your story.
And it happens quickly.
But then I had another dream, and with Adeline and Eolus. I have very epic dreams, and then that turned into a story, and I'm like, oh, I gotta. That's right.
That's awesome. I know.
Oh, thank you. I've been focusing more on my creative nonfiction, so but I have these great ideas for. All right. We'll talk about that offline. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got you.
I wanted to say I loved what you said about when you started writing and how it was therapy, because that was the same thing for me. I started with poetry, and really mostly poetry, but a couple of short stories through honestly 7th grade and up, and that was my best way to process feelings and emotions and teen angst, but also more complicated things that were going on. And it's always remained that way. Like, that's how I stay grounded, is through writing. So
yeah,
I empathize with that.
It's so important.
See, look, we already answered the whole child thing. I think you already answered this, but in case it's slightly different, I'm going to ask you, what inspires you to write?
It's my kids now. Like, my youngest she has no clue what I write because she's 10. But she's very into, my mom writes, like, my mom creates stuff, and she has these ideas to do children's books. And I'm hoping this summer to actually be able to sit down with her and write one. I just think it'd be a fun activity for us to do. She loves to draw, so if she wants to illustrate, I think it'd be cute to kind of collaborate on it. My oldest, she's 21, so she's too cool. But she tells people what her mom does, and like, I always tell her, why do you tell people? Because I go by the pen name, because I still have my maiden name, so a lot of people don't know me as Colgrove. And she's like, because it's awesome. She's like, you're doing something you want to do. And she just had an interview the other day, and they asked her who she admired, and she said me, because I'm actually going after my dream of what I want. So yeah, and like, for a 21-year-old who's, I think her whole life she said probably like 5 words total, because she's one of those kids. And I was like, oh well, you can't act like too cool, because then it's like, oh God, mom, like, you can't gush too much. But yeah, so now it's for them to see that with hard work and effort, you can make whatever you want happen, no matter how old you are. Because I just hit 40 in December, so it's never too late. Yeah, trying to hide my grays as I talk.
Yeah, I was admiring that in the car ride today from baseball practice, and I was like, oh, there's another gray. Okay.
Yeah, I can always tell when it's like I'm due next week, so I can always tell.
One of our attendees, Sophia, said that that's so sweet about what you said with your kids, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Aww.
Like, oh, to have a kid say that, like,
Thank you. Yeah, it meant a lot.
So, yes. Jumping ahead, my brain already switched very fast.
That's okay.
What are you currently working on? You said that you have something debuting in June. So what's that?
I do. So I find my inspirations through songs. So a lot of my books, I have a very long commute to my daughter's school. We live 35 minutes away from pretty much anything in civilization. So driving home one day, Thomas Rhett song came on my Amazon Music, the Marry Me, if you're familiar with it. And these characters developed like magically in my head, and I saw this whole scene play out, and that's Jackson, kind of like yours. I have a Jackson, and Rory, Aurora is her name. So Jackson and Rory. It is my first ever slow burn. So usually I'm like all about the insta love in my stories, but this one we're going story first and then the good stuff. But it's slow burn, friends to lovers. They met junior year of high school, and their entire friendship has been just a big missed opportunity. Now Rory is getting married. Yeah, Jackson is her man of honor, and it's a rush to the altar to see what happens. Does she make it? Does she not make it? Does he get the guts to tell her? Does he not? So we are very, very close to being finished and getting it over to my editor, and I can't wait. I just love the story. I love these characters.
Do you have a title?
It is called Love Me Later. So it's been through a few titles. It started off as The Friend Zone, but there's a book that grew very popular over on Kindle Unlimited within the last 2 months of me writing this book, and that's titled The Friend Zone. So we did a quick little title change, and it's stuck. I like this one.
Nice. So I don't know why, but it just made me so. I've posted before about how I loved playing Barbies because I would tell these epic sagas.
Right.
And in fact, when my friend would come over and play with me, I would feed her lines because I was like, no, this is the way the story's going. So I just need you to repeat these lines for me.
I love that.
And,
right.
like, you just hold the doll. I'll tell you what to say.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah. I still remember one of the stories that I would replay over and over again, and it was this was the mind of a 14-year-old at this point, I think, where they were high school best friends, and he was leaving finally to go start his music career, and they had a passionate night before his departure, and then years later he is super famous and comes back to his small town and discovers her, but also realizes that she has a kid that lines up with the number of years that he's been away, and like, you know, falling back in love with the small town girl.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite tropes, the secret baby trope. You know, and you gotta throw in a rock star. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally famous because I was also obsessed with New Kids on the Block at that point, right? So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna move on to another question, but now I feel like I also have to share this. I would write like there's no chance that New Kids on the Block is ever going to see this, so it's okay. I'm going to share this embarrassing, vulnerable moment. I would write fan mail to New Kids on the Block, and I would drop water onto the paper to simulate tears and
so cool.
cry about the fact that I never would get to see them perform live, because my parents were just like, no, I'm not spending money to take you to a New Kids on the Block concert.
Right.
But they're going to be in DC this summer, and my husband got me tickets. And so, like, we're fulfilling my inner child's deepest wish. And I'm so excited. My husband's like, okay, fine, we'll go.
So awesome. Yeah, it'll be so awesome. So I loved New Kids on the Block. I never got the chance to see them either in concert. As I grew up, my music taste got a little different. So by junior high, I was really into Guns N' Roses and that whole 80s like bad boy metal type thing.
Yeah.
Right before COVID hit, my husband and I went and saw Guns N' Roses when they came to Charlotte, and I fangirled out like a 14-year-old girl. like I didn't care that Axl Rose looked like my grandfather by this point. Like I didn't care about any of it. It was amazing and absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, enjoy every minute of it.
I will, thank you. As I would go to sleep with my New Kids on the Block comforter and bed sad and like pillowcase with Joey McIntyre and be like, I'm never gonna
That's the one I had. I had
40 years old,
okay.
finally going.
It's probably my obsession with the Boston accent is because of Joey McIntyre. But
oh my gosh, I was so in love with him. Okay. The idea of him, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay, here's something. Can you share something that you learned about the writing process or the craft that was a game changer for you?
Oh man. I look back at my first book and I cringe internally. Like it to me, and like it's well liked, so I can't, because the storyline, I think it's what it is and the characters. But I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, this reads like a friggin' manual of like, I did this today and then I did that today and I did. So storytelling is more than just telling. You have to show. And I think that was probably, as someone who does not have the background in writing, my background is all elsewhere, I really had to focus on that and really had to tap in to how to articulate on paper what characters are feeling and what emotions they're going through. So that has been probably the biggest thing that I had to learn. And I love it. I do. I really enjoy the art of storytelling now. It's not just copy and paste describing scenes and people, and there's so much more in depth to it now, and I absolutely adore it.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
There was something you said that triggered a thought, and then I lost the thought. Typical mom at 8:30 at night.
That's okay. Yes.
Gosh, I don't know. It's gone. All right. Well, if I'll put it in the comments if I should.
Yeah, we can circle back. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the hardest roadblocks you've overcome with your writing?
Man.
Oh no! No, I got the thought.
Yes, go ahead.
I got the thought. It's that.
Okay.
I want to celebrate the fact that you go back and read that first book and you cringe because you still did it. Right? And how many times I hear other people who are interested in writing and they don't start because they're too afraid of it not being good enough. And that fear holds them back. But you went for it. Like you were like, no, I want to do this and I'm going to do it. And like, yeah, your writing has progressed through the years, but it wouldn't have done that if you hadn't started with, it's the celebration of the shitty first draft, right? Because then you've got something to learn from.
exactly. And I have always been, trying to say this like in a nice way. Like I've always had a pretty good pair on me, to be blunt. So um, if you told me no, even as a child, my mother would be the first person to tell you I was more difficult and more headstrong than all three of her brothers put together, as she likes to tell me. If you put like a wall in front of me, I was going to find a way through it or around it or over it. So I kind of have that no fear still. I'm a person behind a screen. Is how I felt with my first book. If you don't like me, I can disappear back into my house with my family, with those who love me, and you never have to hear from me again. So it kind of was a safe space, and I wish more people. And I see it with my own kids, and I try to instill this in my daughters. If you don't try, that's the biggest, you know, not failure, but that's like the biggest regret you're going to have, is not failing, is not trying. And it's difficult and it's scary, and it's scary for these kids these days, with everything they have going on. But I mean, it's the worst thing someone can tell you is no, or I don't like it. And then, okay, you tried. Like, or you can do it again and try better. I mean, it's really up to you. So yeah, I, I don't have that issue, so I'm lucky. But the people who do, I wish, I would put it out for them if I could, just to get it out there so they could see how much people would enjoy it. Because there is a reader for every story, 100% is, I believe that. Yeah.
I agree completely. You got a heart
Yeah.
for that. People were like, I love you for saying that.
Thank
you.
Oh, thank you. But it's true. And I mean it. I mean, I would stand up for everybody. So if I could. So don't mind my fine
Yes.
china. I'm gonna take a sip real quick.
That's okay. I also love the cat
My
in the background.
Do you love my little,
accidentally. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, she's not in here. We're good. She'll start yelling at me.
We have an elderly dog, so we have to keep the food up so she jumps. So he doesn't get in her food. Yeah.
Oh, pets. So what are some of the hardest roadblocks you've overcome with your writing?
It's definitely the writer's block. And the one book I've had the worst luck with it was with the Hellhounds Crusade, and I think a lot of it had to do with just burnout. I was just burnt out. I was really kind of being forced into, performing on Dream. My editor had put me into a contest. I kind of felt forced to, I guess, perform, or like maybe my work should be better than it is. Or so it was just a lot of mental stuff. When I picked up Until There Was You with it, it helped. It helped a lot having the characters of that book to go to and then bounce back and forth. And also just taking the step away. But it's writer's block it's got to be the worst thing for me. And then being my own boss, kind of like, I'm like the most lenient boss in the world. Like, I need a day off. Yeah, take the day off. Sure, come back tomorrow. We got you. Yeah, that sucks. No wonder I made horrible manager back in the day. Like, yeah. So that's another thing I really got to start holding myself accountable for, is I've got to keep on my time restraints, and I've got the time to do it. My kid's back in school. I need to just get my butt in a chair and write. So that's my next one to overcome. Ask me in a month.
Do you aim to write every day? What do you?
I do. So I aim to write every day that she's in school. I try to start at like an even, or not an even number, but I try to start right at like the top of the hour. I try to do sprints with this Discord group I'm a part of to kind of hold myself accountable, and I can see how many words I'm doing. But it is not always happen. You ever have one of those days? Because that's kind of how my year's been. So like my husband tore his bicep a couple weeks ago, has had to have surgery. We've had a couple issues with our dog, with our cat. the kids. It's just been a very odd year. Like, so it's been easy to find an excuse of why, oh, I'm so busy today, I can't write. But now that everything's starting to calm down, I gotta get in gear and see what I can do.
My biggest challenge that I have to overcome is the to-do list. My coach calls it the weeds. I can get lost in the weeds where I'll be like,
Yeah.
create my social media posts, and I need to update this page on my website, and I need to like just the little tasks that it's nice to check them off, but then they'll take up the day and I'll be like, oh yeah,
Right.
I was supposed to write today and I got lost in the weeds.
Yeah. And this whole, like, I love being self-published. I absolutely love having creative control over my stuff, but the like work part of it, like the social media part, that takes up a lot of time. And I really didn't anticipate, because I'm sitting here writing this book and I need to get this book done and completed. But then I've got to promote my other book, because how is anyone going to know that it's out there to read and done and ready? So I hear you on the weeds. I get stuck in the weeds quite a bit, to be honest.
Yeah. I have a creative nonfiction piece that I read last week, because in between my conversations with parents, right, on the alternate week, I talk about what I'm currently working on. If I have a finished piece, then I'll live. But yeah, I'm working on this piece about my not traumatic first pregnancy. Spoiler, he's fine, but it was still traumatic. And so I decided to slow down and sink back into that moment of the red flags. And I really love what's coming out of it, but it's a slow piece. So I really have to be able to just kind of like put in the earplugs and breathe, just let it fall on the page. And I have no idea how it's going to end yet, but I like the first page and a half. I'm stuck on a page.
Yeah. And
like,
something like that, you definitely need, your time. I mean, it's what you're writing is not a fluff piece. It's not, so yeah, you need to give yourself definitely some time to do that and process.
Yeah. And then I'll also put some poetry there in the middle to just break it up. Not the piece, I mean, just on the side.
Right.
Let's see. I mean, I love when the conversation naturally covers a lot of this. Oh, I love this question. I ask everybody this. Do you, you've already answered it, but I'm going to ask anyway, just in case. Do you feel that writing has helped you to be a better parent, and how so?
Yeah, I think having, as moms, and every mom can relate to this, we get so wrapped up where our children become our identity. And I think, for such a long time, with the age gap I have in my kids, I feel like, I feel like I've been a mom, forever. And pretty much I have. Half my life I've been a mom when you look at it. It kind of gave me a sense of, I don't want to say worth, because that's the wrong, because, we're all worthy, but it kind of gave me a sense of self, something that was my own, that I didn't have to share. I'm trying to build something that, God, it's everyone's dream, is that you want to build enough to leave enough for them when you're gone, or to leave something behind when you're gone. But while I'm here, it's just mine. And I get to share it with people, but deep down, it's stuff that I've created from scratch. And it's not me and my husband's, it's all me. And I think that part of it is just kind of feels awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why I created Life Beyond Parenting, is because I had lost myself for like 6 years, to the point where I I remember I write about it in a terrible article entitled by their name. I really want to go back and change it. I titled it "How My Accumulating Anxiety with My Children." I'm like, that's so so talk about a negative. I'm like, I need to change that. But anyway, I remember my husband being like, you know, you really need some time for yourself. I'm going to take the kids out for like 2-3 hours and do whatever you want. And I was like, that's amazing. I love you. I'm so excited. And the minute they walked out the door, I was so depressed because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am. That was the first time where I was like,
I would
wow,
feel guilt.
I feel like I fell. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And my husband to this day, like he'll still offer to, you know, he accumulates a lot of points for hotels and stuff because he travels for work. And, you know, I'll get you a night in a hotel, like in the city. And I still can't say yes. Like, even though there's so much of me that wants to sometimes, I'm working on it, but I still can't bring myself to justify being gone by myself for 24 hours in a hotel. Like I just, you know, I'll get there. Maybe I'll get there. I want to work on a little she shed first, but
yeah,
you know, where I'm still here, but I'm there. But yeah, eventually,
yeah,
we'll get there.
Oh, that parent guilt, man.
I know. It runs deep. It runs deep.
It does. But I've been getting past that because of the fact that I've realized that when I take the time for myself, I'm such a better parent for my kids.
Yes, it's such a catch-22. You know, we always joke that I kind of live at a level 9 with stress. And, you know, I'd love to live at like a 5, you know, if it's possible, just a 5. And to do that, we have to take the time for ourselves. So yeah, it's just a catch-22.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, progress.
Yes. Grow.
Yeah.
We all have to grow.
Yeah. And you know, I think that's also one of the biggest realizations that I had when I started on my journey back to myself. My coach had said at one point, like, we don't stop evolving. We can still experiment. We can still explore. We can still, you know, like when I was sitting there, oh God, right. One of the exercises she had to do was write down the things that we like to do. And I wanted to start crying because I was like, I don't have anything to fill in right now. And right. It was nice that other people give ideas because I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And like, I needed to hear somebody else give me the permission that I could try something new. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, it's so weird that thought left me, but it right. did. And so, yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Man. Yeah. I think we've pretty much, wow. Again, I love it when the conversation naturally pretty much covers all of these. Oh, okay. You know what? This is really like the last question that I have, except for my standard last 2 questions. But this is like the last. Yeah. Okay. Have you tried to nurture a love of reading and or writing for your kids? Or how have you tried to nurture a love for reading and writing for your kids? Aside from the fact that they get to watch you and your success.
Right. Yeah. You know, my oldest, she did enjoy reading. She's very much an introvert. So I think that was her way to be introverted without, like, why are you so quiet? Why are you being quiet? Just so that she had a book in her hand, nobody really questioned her. She's grown out of it, and I've tried. She reads a little bit of contemporary. I mean, she's 21, so I mean, I don't really get a say in what she reads anymore. But you know, she reads a little bit of contemporary romance. She grew up in the Twilight. That was her age of, you know, Team Jacob and all that. So absolutely, I know. I have them too. I do too.
Blocking that book back in.
Well, you know, I had to read them before she did. So, yeah. So that was my excuse back then. But yeah, I mean, she likes the paranormal stuff. She likes the vampires. That was her thing. My little one, she had a little difficulty. I mean, because she's my COVID child, so she had a little bit of
Mm.
difficulty reading. Um, she was a little bit slower to pick it up, and then once she did, like COVID hit, and then we were stuck at home. So she loves like she's my artist, so she loves anime, she loves drawing, she's into all of that, so she loves the graphic novels, and I support it. I absolutely do. But they are super easy reads for her because she's going into fifth grade next year. So they're super easy reads. So we've come up with a little deal that for every regular, as she calls them, boring chapter books that she reads, she can read 2 graphic novels. So
Oh,
she's my bargainer. Yeah. So I want her to realize that there is stories out there. Like, just because it doesn't have this really cool, graphic to go with it and this whole page of like awesome drawings that you want to replicate, there's still, like, your imagination can create, if not better, what's on the page. So that's what I'm working my plan this summer.
I'm like making sure I check off. And I'm like, question. What chapter books are you introducing? I'm just curious for that age range.
So I am open to suggestions because she's really into Harry Potter. So that's kind of where we are starting. Her and my husband have very similar interests. They're like 2 little peas in a pod. So I did buy the first Harry Potter book. So that's what we're going to work on first. But I am open to any and all suggestions that anyone has.
Percy
that
Jackson.
A 10-year-old would. Yeah, I always forget about him, and I do like those.
Percy Jackson, Chronicles of Narnia. No, that's too mature. Not that one.
That'll be. Yeah, the Chronicles of Narnia would be good too because we did watch the first movie together.
There's my Percy Jackson up there, right next to Harry Potter.
Okay.
In episode 3 of Conversations with Parents Who Write, I got to chat with Melissa Caritas, and she is a middle school English teacher, and she wrote a book for middle schoolers because that gets left out of the book gap way too much. So her book is like that 8 to 15-year-old range, and her book is Shadow Lighthouse.
Awesome. I'll check out that episode.
Yeah, it's a mystery book, kind of Hardy Boys-esque, and I bought it and I'm enjoying it.
So cool.
Definitely recommend Melissa. Shout out to you, Melissa. Hugs. I love the people
I'll definitely check her out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, the knowledge is so important because, like, they don't do summer reading lists anymore, at least not where we are. So, and then, like, would they just be the outdated stuff that we were being forced to read back in the day? So, yeah, any and all suggestions are always welcome. So I'll definitely check her book out.
Yeah, please. And then my last question that I always ask is, you already answered. I ask, like, what's your what's your favorite book and what's your kids' favorite book, or like a book that you would read to kids. But for you, and you don't have to name just one, like, what are your favorite books?
Right. Like, all time, God, there's a few things I've read, like, Twilight is my guilty pleasure. I'm going to say it right now. So and now I'm going back and I'm reading Midnight Sun. I have it, it's on my TBR. So I've got the actual book. But, I started off when I got into romance with Nora Roberts. So, like, The Jewel of the Sun, her Irish trilogy, really enjoy those. There are books that I can go back to and read over again. This is also gonna, like, I'm a 4-year-old who's trapped in, like, an 18-year-old body, or I wish, vice versa. I'm a, 18-year-old mind in a 4-year-old body. But, like, the House of Night series, I absolutely adore that series. Yeah, you've got it too. Yeah, I love it.
Got the whole
Absolutely
series.
Love it.
I'm so excited when you said
love
that.
it. Yeah, it's such a good series, and I just found out there's more. Like, I didn't even know there's more after the ending. So now I've got to go. Yes, you've got. So I don't know what you've got. So when they split, at the end, and she stays with Stark in Oklahoma, and everyone else kind of ventures out. Apparently, there's more after that.
Wait, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of her books in that series.
Okay, so I don't remember how many were in the original.
Okay.
Like when Nefrit is sealed and everything is said and done and you think it's a wrap, apparently there's more after that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and check.
So you'll have to check and see what you've got. Yeah. So I just found this out recently. So now I've got to like go back and read these, find them, get them. Yeah.
I series they were talking about getting a movie rights. People optioned for them, and it was probably the fact that like people were coming off of Twilight that they really kind of didn't want. I don't know what happened, but I love those books. I love I
was disappointed too.
Culture in there, like it's just I love those books. We're friends.
Yeah, I adore them. Yes, I adore them. I didn't hear a movie. I heard TV show, and I was super stoked for it. The Fallen series as well. The name of the author is escaping me, but they actually did make a movie of it. The movie was not so good. So I think maybe this is why it was just around the time of the House of Night stuff. So maybe that's why too, because it was just coming off of Twilight's coattails. And but Fallen was good too. It's more about fallen angels, but still it's YA.
Okay.
Definitely, if I had internet, I'd pop on my laptop and check it for you because the name of the authors escaped me, but I don't have internet. So definitely check that out. The books were good. The books were really well done. There's 3, I believe. The movie, not so much. It's so sad. I
just finished a 6-book series, which is not in the same genre. Miss Peregrine's School Your Children.
Yeah, so my husband, I look over because he's sitting here now, but yeah, my husband did that, and then he was disappointed in the movies after the book.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it seems to be the way it goes.
Sorry, no offense to that. I did not like. I mean, the movie was okay, but I remember like really on in the movie something happened, and I just remember turning and being like, "They're not gonna follow the book. I'm so mad!" And like, sure enough, like. The movie just deviated, and I was just like, what's going on? I was so mad. I was like, that was so good. You did not need it. But now it's going to be a series, and I'm really excited for that.
Yes. Yeah, we are too. And side note, the only time to deviate from a movie is movie 5 of Twilight. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. That is the only time you deviate, when you leave everyone in shock, sitting in a theater with their jaws on the floor. You can't do it like that. Don't do it at all.
I loved the ending for that. I loved it. And my husband, I like forced him to watch the series, and he was kind of like, okay.
I do too.
Okay. Yeah. And then the last movie, and we saw it on our honeymoon in Italy. So it was with Italian subtitles.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, and he was like, the whole series was worth it just to watch that last movie. I really liked that. And I was like, yes, that was great.
Yeah, that's like my husband's favorite part of the whole movie. Yeah, because it's shocking. You just don't see it coming. Yeah. And for Twilight, of all people, you don't see it coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That was a great, very rare.
Yeah.
Right? For the movie to like, boom, and
Yeah, no, they did good. They got to give them credit.
I'm gonna go with it. So one of my other all-time favorite books, Pride and Prejudice, right? The very first time I saw the Keira Knightley version of Pride and Prejudice, I hated it. I like loathed it. Yeah. And then, but I had purchased it because it was, I don't know. And then, of course, I love Colin Firth. Like, hello, that version. But I was thinking to myself, I really just kind of want to see that scene in Pride and Prejudice, and it'll just be faster for me to watch it in the Keira Knightley version. So I watched it, and I was like, that was good. I was like, I really just want to watch this scene. It was like forward 2 seconds, and that scene was there, and I was like, I really do love that scene. Okay, I really want to watch this scene now. And it turned out that like every single one of my favorite moments in the book was in the movie, and so that was when I just realized how like like how tightly written it was to
Right.
get moments. And even with some of the changes that they made, I loved it. It's like one of my all-time favorite movies now, plus the soundtrack. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I did enjoy that one. So yeah, I mean, it can happen. If you, I mean, I just think if you love something, it, we all get disappointed at first when we watch these movies being done, and um, but they do have a tendency. They're like I said, the guilty pleasure. They grow on you, and it's your go-to for, that quick
Yeah.
fix. So I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. I also loved the changes they made for Lord of the Rings. Like, I love every genre. I really do. Like, someday I should just take a picture of myself and show to people like all the different genres in there. And I also have graphic novels, by the way. Side note.
Yeah. No,
So,
your bookshelf, like that's my goal. I told my husband, I'm like, when you have two working arms, I want bookshelves because I want to have bookshelves behind me and not my cat and her water dish and food dish. So one
right,
day.
I
Because yeah, right now
this
it's just my built-ins in my living room get to see all my books, and that's all. Oh yeah. See?
and then
Yeah.
here, la la la, and grow up. And there's more. Like, if you pan around even more, like over. Oh no, it's not gonna let me go that far. I'll break it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, down. That's my poetry section and literary journals and kids section down there. Oh, kids section. Hey, wait a minute. What can I recommend for you there? The Tale of Despereaux.
Okay. Oh yes.
Yes.
I know that one. Okay.
Despereaux. Oh, Inkheart. Not happy with the third book, but the first book and the second book, absolutely loved. Great book for your daughter. Inkheart series.
Okay. Okay. I'll look at that one too.
And I'm sorry. I'm going to pull out like a
That's okay.
and be like, these are such, what's the name of it? I love this one so much. It's an amazing chapter. Is it you? Yes. I love this book, and it's the same author as the Inkheart series, but it's not as well known. This one's The Thief Lord, but it's still by Cornelia Funk. The Thief Lord, it takes place in Venice for the most part, and I like, this is one of the books that when I closed it, I was absolutely devastated to say goodbye to the characters.
Oh, I love those kind of books. Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely check her out. The Thief Lord.
There you go. I'm glad I can just make it.
Yeah, she's gonna get reading because she goes through those graphic novels pretty quick, and she's got to get that one in for those two.
Right? I loved The Thief Lord. Yeah. Again, I loved working in a bookshop. I miss working in a bookstore.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. That would be dangerous.
Yes. In fact, when I stopped working at the bookstore and customers would come in and I would overhear them talking and being like, oh, I need a book about da da, and I would just start talking. They'd be like, oh, you're such a great employee here. And I'm like, they're like, no, she left us.
That's so funny.
Months ago.
That's so funny.
I lived in a
No, I do this for fun. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Matchmaking service for books. Yeah.
I loved it. I loved recommending books.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. It was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry we went over.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, that's okay. I mean, my husband put our little one to bed, so we're good.
Yeah. Thursday nights is husband's night. Exactly. Yeah. He took care of my kids too. So
yeah.
All right. Well,
yes.
but no, thank you. This was amazing, and I can't wait to talk offline because I have more questions for you.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime. Just ding me. I'm the boss. So if you need time, I got you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, is there anything?
All right. Thank you so much. No, I mean, I've got, you can find me on Facebook. If, you join my group, I have a group called Gina Colgrove, Romance with Spice. So I'm starting to do more fun things. I like to do giveaways too. So if anyone's ever, they want to pop in. Yeah. So I try to be as engaging as possible because I love my readers. So come on over. We're a good group.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well,
Yeah.
all of your contact information is in the description below, so they can click every single link.
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yes. Have a good
Have a
night.
good night.
Bye.